I think it's fair to say that Central Ohio responded rather enthusiastically to the entry into World War I. This is not hard to understand because we really, with the exception of the very brief Spanish-American War, we really hadn't been in a major war since the Civil War.
They needed huge training camps to be able to essentially process the recruits they were getting, not only from volunteerism, but through the draft. Camp Sherman, located near Chillicothe, served as sort of a hub to send these men to so they could be trained and then sent overseas.
Camp Sherman was built in approximately 3 months. It was designed originally for 45,000 people, plus 12,000 animals. The main camp area was over 2,000 acres. There was the maneuver grounds, which was also a little over 2,000 acres. The rifle range was about 6,000 acres, and then there was another large area which was south of here.
And they built between 1,000 and 2,000 buildings on the site, and then they had the ancillary buildings that were necessary for the support of the camp. The laundry, they had the base hospital.
It had the Camp Sherman Library. There were 11 YMCAs. There was a YWCA. This is one of 6 camps who had black soldiers, and the YMCA, for reasons at the time, could not handle the area of the black soldiers, so the YWCA stepped up and they built the hostess house out there.
The British and the French had been in the trenches fighting trench warfare for 3 years before we ever got into the war. And we didn't have the military personnel to teach them how to fight this kind of war. So they brought over French and British officers to train the men that were here.
The war in Europe is going on where both sides have a number of new weapons. We have the machine gun, and so we had to learn how to deal with that when they're firing over the trenches. We had poison gas. There were 2 kinds of poison gas that was introduced over there. We had the airplane, which during the course of the war turned into not just fighter planes, but bombers. The tank. So they had to learn new tactics.
The men were encouraged to be a part of the community, and the community was encouraged to make the men welcome here. So the fraternal organizations, the churches, all of them converted their recreational rooms in to accommodate the soldiers that were in town. And so they had places to go where they could play pool, play billiards, play cards, they could read, places where they could go to socialize. We did have 4 theaters that provided movies.
They filled in part of the old canal downtown and they built a movie theater called the Sherman Theater. And of course the Majestic Theater also showed first-run films, and they were on the vaudeville circuit. They brought in top name acts.
You have to be careful what you wish for. They thought that it would be an economic boon, but it also did create a lot of problems for the town as well.
When you have men who are 21 to 41 years of age out here in that large a number, you've got all kinds of social issues. Issues of policing, and that's not just policing as you normally think of it, but that is keeping the girls of the city under control so they don't get in trouble.
The families were encouraged to visit their soldiers at the camp so that we would have 10 to 15,000 people in town looking for a hotel room, and they were bringing with them 10,000 automobiles. And this also caused traffic problems. There were not enough hotel rooms. They went to the people in the community, would you please put up some of these people for the night? But they did sometimes run out of space, so you might find people sleeping in railroad cars on the sidelines. They might be in the city parks, on the courthouse steps. They were bedding down just about wherever they could.
The influenza was a worldwide epidemic. Neither side of those in the conflict wanted to report how many people had it or died from it. Spain was a neutral country at that time, so they reported all of their deaths and illnesses. So it kind of got the nickname the Spanish flu. Here in Camp Sherman, there were 1,177 military who died here.
Camp Sherman had the largest incident of death from the flu from any of the other military camps. Percentage-wise, Chillicothe had one of the lowest because the city fathers immediately took precautions. Camp Sherman was quarantined, and the city itself began also quarantining part of the town.
They had so many dying so fast that they were loading them in wagons and trucks and transporting them downtown. The military had to be brought in to help do this because the local funeral homes were just overwhelmed.
The Majestic Theater was used as a sort of makeshift morgue where the bodies could be prepared and drained before they were sent back to their hometowns.
One of the interesting things about Camp Sherman was the black soldiers were isolated. They were actually what they called black divisions. They didn't get the flu. There were also conscientious objectors who were here. They were isolated. They didn't get the flu. So it was the main part of the base who actually ended up with the flu and who passed away.
The end of World War I is very famous. It's the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In November of 1918, the armistice was signed so peace talks could begin.
It took 6 months to get the Treaty of Versailles to officially declare that the war was over. At that point, they could confidently process the men out and start sending them home.
Most of the men that were in training at the camp were leaving by the end of 1918. Camp Sherman was then made a demobilization camp.
A number of the buildings were used after that, and then of course they cleared the land. Camp Sherman was dismantled. New highways were built through some of the property. There is the Camp Sherman Park out there.
It was here such a short time and then it was gone. So people tend not to remember that it was ever there until we have a centennial. And it was such a big success that people are now recognizing the fact that Camp Sherman was there and was a major part of our history.